The following presentation, Better Teaching and Learning with Formative Assessments, was prepared by Marie Pellegrini on August 19, 2020 for Advancement Courses Facilitator, Christina Todorich. What is formative assessment? Although assessments of learning are important, if we are to ascribe grades to students and provide accountability, teachers should also focus more on assessment for learning. These types of assessment, formative assessments, support learning during the learning process. Judith Dodge, Scholastic, 2020. The reasons for formative assessment in the classroom are teachers can use formative assessments to collect data on students' learning. The assessments are quick, can be observations or classroom conversations. These assessments are not graded. They are practice for students and the teachers, and students can gauge their level of understanding. The formative assessments need to be graded quickly, or at least checked quickly, so students know where they need to continue to grow. What does a formative assessment look like? Formative assessments take many forms. Some examples of formative assessments are formal or informal, teacher-directed or student-directed, traditional classroom tools or using technology tools, and completed in a few minutes or linked to a project that requires many points of assessment. So you can see formative assessments take on many forms. Tools and strategies of a formative assessment. The National Council of Teachers of English state, teachers who observe students engage in language use and learning come to know their students' strengths and challenges and are then able to plan supportive classroom learning experiences, 2013. Specific examples of observations are running records and checklists. With conversations, teachers may specifically ask students for further information by conducting surveys, interviews, or conferences. Specific examples of student self-evaluations are exit slips, rubrics, and reflections. An important component of a formative assessment are student survey self-evaluations. They are deliberate efforts to elicit students' perspectives on their own learner. Self-evaluations encourage students to monitor their own learning and learner needs. Finally, artifacts of learning is working alone or with others. Teachers review data about individual students or groups of students for the purpose of planning future learning experiences according to the NCTE. Benefits of formative assessments for all students and teachers. The following ideas of formative assessments benefit all students and teachers because they provide frequent feedback to the learner. The instruction is paced to the student's ability to learn. The learning occurs through a variety of instructional techniques. The formative assessments better prepare for life in the 21st century. The following philosophies of formative assessment also benefit teachers with happier students who feel less anxiety to pass tests. You are able to find the learning gap in students' knowledge and skills, and there is increased focus on actual student usage of content. Here are some specific examples of formative assessments that I use in my 4th grade inclusion class. This slide provides specific examples which can be used to find out what my students know. Who needs extra help? Who needs more challenging work? And what do they need to learn to reach the big ideas of the lesson? Not all formative assessments need to be paper and pencil tasks. Once again, they take on a variety of forms. Notice that one of the bell ringers is a Google form questionnaire. One of the examples is a teacher observation of discussions. One is a rating of what the students understand. And finally, one is a graphic organizer, which students can write, draw, and share their knowledge of fractions, which appeals to many learners. What and how can you assess? Formative assessments allow teachers to assess the needs of students in the following areas, such as academic content growth, behavioral skills, social and interpersonal skills, physical skills, and self-awareness or metacognitive skills. A teacher can formally assess all school subjects and their content through the following with quick, individual, whole class, or small group checks. So what is brain-based learning? When an educator understands how the brain works, she or he is better equipped to assist her or his students in several ways. They can help students focus their attention, which will increase their retention. This is the promise of brain-based learning. This learning method draws insights from several fields, including psychology, technology, and neurology. So what is brain-based learning continued? When teachers understand this concept, it helps them to keep diverse learners engaged, create a richer learning environment, offer valuable feedback that can lead to a deeper understanding, and by creating a rich learning environment, teachers have the ability to address their students' emotional and social needs as well as their minds, according to the resilienteducator.com. So, some best practices for brain-based learning. Some best practices for brain-based learning is to provide quick feedback to the formative assessments. The feedback can be comments or verbal, and it should be positively focused on the student's performance. The feedback should be very specific and constructive, telling the students how to improve. Teach and allow students to show what they know using different learning styles, such as visual, physical, etc. This allows all learners with opportunities to express what they learned. Give students choices to complete a formative assessment, such as drawing or writing their responses, acting out an idea, or share their ideas in small group, individually, or in whole group. Our brains like novelty, so another best practice is to use colors, rhythm, music, and sounds to help students' brains to recall information. Bloom's taxonomy is a system of organizing and aligning cognitive skills that educational psychologist Dr. Benjamin Bloom introduced in 1956. How to use Bloom's taxonomy? Teachers use Bloom's taxonomy to write objectives and questions for their students, and informed students can use the levels of thinking from Bloom's taxonomy to write their own questions as they probe their understanding of content. Which leads us into using questions to assess students. Using questions to assess students has a big advantage over many other forms of assessments. During questioning, teachers work in real time. As students answer a question, the teacher can immediately follow up another question to probe deeper into the student's thought processes, ask for clarification on the first answer, or another student to verify or expand on the student's first answer. When preparing to teach, compose specific questions that you will ask your students or you will anticipate that they will ask you. Doing so will help increase participation and encourage active learning, which is critical. In order to find out what students really know, you must ask the right questions. There are several types of questions: convergent or divergent questions, fact or opinion questions, opinion or reflective questions, and initial questions. So, convergent or divergent questions. When facilitating discussion, give students time to think and respond. Wait for students to finish their idea before interjecting. Show interest in all answers. Redirect and guide wrong answers toward a correct one and develop reasons that will keep students thinking. The first type of questioning is convergent questions, also known as closed questions. Students can find the answers in text and can memorize the answer. These questions are ways to assess students' comprehension. They are either correct or incorrect. Divergent questions are also known as open-ended questions because there are many answers for each question, which require critical thinking. And on this slide, I have posted several examples of convergent closed type questions and divergent open-ended questions. This leads us to fact or opinion type questions. Where does the character live? What is the formula of an area of a rectangle? What did Christopher Columbus when did he discover America? Once again, factual, students can find the answers. Opinion, they're stating their opinions, maybe using information to back up their answer. The third type of questioning is reflective question. They tend to be open-ended questions and require higher level thinking skills, relating back to Bloom's taxonomy, especially when students are asked to support their answer with evidence from the text or other reliable sources. These types of questions are more difficult because the answers are subjective. It is also important to remind students that everyone is entitled to their own opinion and to listen to each other throughout the conversation. And initial questions. The fourth and final type of question is the initial question. Initial questions are the first questions asked in a discussion and should excite student interest and engagement. Initial questions are meant to stimulate student interest and get them excited to think about a topic. Encouraging student participation. Using questions is a great way to assess your students' understanding and thinking process. The entire purpose of this course, Better Teaching and Learning with Formative Assessment. All students need to participate in the conversations in order to understand what all students learned or what they are thinking. In order to do this, here are some ways to encourage student participation. Give students the opportunity to draw or sketch their answers. Give students wait time to process their answers. Draw sticks to randomly choose students to respond, but provide a free pass to students who need extra think time. And finally, provide students with the questions ahead of time, if necessary, according to an IEP or 504, so that they can plan or rehearse what they're going to say. Most of all, students should respect each other so all of the children know that they are in a safe environment to respond. This concludes the presentation. There are 2 reference slides. And I have provided feedback to the following posters in the community space: Heather Ryerson and Elizabeth Tarr. Thank you.